All right, so you see this man behind me, my virtual background, and if you're listening on audio version today, that man is the Angels DH slash pitcher Shohei Ohtani. Now, there's been this debate over the last couple days in sports around Ohtani because FS1 show host Craig Carton said that Ohtani is not the best player in baseball, even though Ohtani obviously leads the Angels and leads MLB specifically in every single statistical category in hitting and pitching. But Craig said you can't be the best player if your team has never made the postseason. And I thought about that. And, we go through the list of the best players. Obviously, we think Tom Brady is the GOAT in the National Football League. In the NBA, there's been a lot of best players. Whether it's been Shaq, whether it's been, Evan Durant at times, whether it's been Giannis, whether it's been LeBron, whether it's been Jokic. Almost every single player that we declare as the best player in the NBA has a ring when we declare them the best player in the NBA. Obviously, the NBA is the superstar driven league where one player can just take it over. It's why we make the list of the best players in the NBA more than we do in the NFL. Because in the NFL, what we all acknowledge, Patrick Mahomes is great and is probably the best player at this point in the NFL. Now that the GOAT, Tom Brady, is no longer in the league, you have guys like Joe Burrow, you have Josh Allen, you have defensive playmakers such as Aaron Donald, Hassan Reddick, Micah Parsons. You have your Jamar Chases, your Justin Jeffersons. You have your Jalen Ramseys. You have basically guys at every single position that could be considered, maybe as impactful, though the quarterback position is obviously the most important in all sports. In baseball, though, it's different because you don't have to have a great second baseman. You don't have to have a great shortstop. You don't have to have a great catcher. You don't have to have a great first baseman. You don't have to have a great third baseman. You don't have to have a great left fielder, a great center fielder, a great right fielder. You just have to have one or two great players. It doesn't matter the position. And obviously, you need good to great starting pitching. The idea is to stop evil from scoring, but you know that teams are going to get runs and you're going to have good and bad outings. And as I talked about, a lot of times in baseball, if you hit 300, you're going to the Hall of Fame, which, of course, every time you step up to the plate, you're only hitting the ball in the field for a hit 30% of the time, which is remarkable when you think about it. And so, for that reason, by statistical measures, Shohei Ohtani is the best player in baseball. I will give you that. However, I'm going to make you an argument that Ohtani is technically not the best player in baseball because there is no best player in baseball. For the longest time, I've heard, Babe Ruth is the GOAT of baseball, and nobody, alive still today, I don't believe, has ever seen Babe Ruth play. And if they are very old, like in their 80s and 90s years old. There are some people who watched baseball growing up in the mid 2000s in the steroid era that said Barry Bonds, and this is true from what I read, grew up at the very end of the Barry Bonds era when he was big with the Giants, that Barry Bonds was the most unstoppable hitter anybody has ever seen. Yet, and I say this yet, the Giants never won a championship with Barry Bonds on their team. So for the last decade, I've heard Mike Trout is the best player in baseball. Yet again, how can you be the best player if you never won a World Series or even made the playoffs for that matter? For a couple of years, I heard Bryce Harper may have overtaken Mike Trout as the best player in baseball. Yet when Bryce Harper left the Washington Nationals to go to the Philadelphia Phillies, you know what the Washington Nationals did that year? They won the World Series. How many times have we seen baseball teams be under 500 at the trade deadline, make a whole new team at the trade deadline, and win the World Series, win the championship? They didn't have the best pitching all year. They didn't have the best hitting all year, but they got nice pitching. They got very good, solid pitching in the postseason. And in the postseason, they got very timely hitting with both power and contact and situational hitting. That's what I've always said about baseball. It's about good pitching, stopping people, and good situational hitting. It doesn't matter if you're the best player statistically. You could go 10 for 10 with 5 doubles and 5 home runs. If nobody else in your lineup can hit, you're not going to win games. Baseball is not dependent on you. Now, obviously, the lineups can look weaker. I mean, if you have a whole team in 150 or 200, that's different. But most baseball guys, if you look at baseball, if you look at the best players' averages versus the middle of the pack average, they're pretty similar. And I know all these baseball people want to talk about OPS and WAR and all these other advanced stats. And you've heard me talk about this a whole bunch on the show. When I do talk baseball, which is no lot of baseball, I don't care what the advanced analytics say. I don't care about launch angle. I don't care about any of that crap. Do you get on base? Do you score runs? Do you prevent runs? That's what I care about. A lot like the NFL, the analytics say go for 2 here, more about the feel of the game. It just is. Analytics in the NBA say shoot the 3. If I can get 2 points in the mid-range, I'm gonna take the mid-range. So analytics I agree with in some spots, I disagree with in others. I think they're good at times, I think they're bad at times. I think in baseball and it's slowly coming into football, they're getting used over too much. But again, Ohtani is a special player. There's no doubt about it. He can pitch. He can hit. He's one of a kind athlete. And I get it why a lot of people think he's the MLB's best player, though the MLB does not market him. And I can barely see him. They barely put him in any television spots on time, which is completely on MLB and not on Shohei Ohtani and not on Aaron Judge and not on some of these other stars like Jazz Chisholm for the Marlins, who I only knew about because he was on the cover of MLB The Show 2023, the video game. Only knew about Juan Soto from playing MLB The Show. So, there's guys like Juan Soto and Tatis who are on the Padres, and a lot of people thought the Padres were going to be good this year. They're not. They're under 500. With all the additions the Mets made this year, they're under 500. Star power does not matter in baseball. What matters is pitching, timely hitting, and, again, very productive hitting, whether it's a base hits, doubles, home runs, a little bit mix of everything. In baseball, in my opinion, you're only as good as your next starter. You're only as good as your next hitter. Next to the NFL, you can make the argument because obviously NFL players, they don't play both sides of the ball. Baseball, though, is the ultimate team sport because Ohtani could quote unquote carry the Angels, or Aaron Judge could quote unquote carry the Yankees. And you look at the numbers, they go 9-14 without them, or whatever it is, and then with them 20-10, let's say, for example. Those numbers can back it up. But at the end of the day, if guys are not hitting or guys are not pitching well behind him, you're not going to win games. And there's a reason why, even with your star players, you do not make the postseason. And it's because you do not have a good build around your star player, which makes it very tough to tell who the stars are in baseball, which, again, baseball tries to tell us who they are, but they don't market them. You like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.